industry. Moving right along, Nitin Pai is co-founder of the Takshashila Foundation, which aims to do no less than build the intellectual foundations of an India by being one of the most credible voices in India's public policy discourse. Nitin.
Thank you. You know, it's, everybody here tried to start by talking about their personal stories. I'll try not to do that because the kind of work we're interested in doing requires us to depersonalize what our life stories and focus on the task at hand. But just a bit of a preview because it's relevant. I spent most of my adult life working in Singapore, working for the Singapore government. I did interesting things like building the world's first broadband network, making a case to Prime Minister who was here yesterday, making a case to replace all copper cables in the country and replace it with fiber optics without getting them fall off their chairs. And after doing these very difficult things, I thought I should do something easy and let's change the country. Which country? India, right? So I moved back about 2 years ago to pay attention to the Takshashila Institution. We are interested in creating a public policy school and a think tank, and a little bit about why we're doing this will be covered in the next 5 minutes. The first question is, how do we transform India? There are many ways, and I think most of you here are doing it the right way. Entrepreneurship, business, creating livelihoods, creating growth, creating a better future for the people. And without that part of the transformation, none of it works. So I come second or third after you, because economic engines are the most important engines which we all have to pay attention to in order to change the country. But that's not enough. Some of it next goes into philanthropy and charity. A lot of us do that. I'm sure all of you here have given to philanthropic and charitable causes, helping poor people, helping underprivileged, doing the kind of things which the government in India doesn't do. That's also important. But there is only one agency that has the scale, the credibility, the legitimacy, and the capacity to solve the nation's problems on a scale that can reach 1.2 billion people, and that is government. And until we can fix government, until we can fix the kind of people who work with government, until we fix the citizens' expectations of what government ought to do, we're not going to see that change. So there are many ways to change India. Many of you, as I mentioned, it could be business, it could be through philanthropy, through charity, through NGO work. These are all various ways, and one more way which we have to see this is through the fixing of government. So fixing India is a marathon. Changing India is a marathon. Anybody who expects even a street to be cleaned up in months in India is not being reasonable, not being realistic. It's a marathon. We've got to run this for years, for decades. Probably things will change beyond careers and lifetimes. And to make things change beyond careers and lifetimes, we need institutions. And that's part of the reason why I was talking about depersonalizing it. Very often we have a problem in India, which is institutions are very closely identified with individuals. And that's a very bad thing, because individuals can work productively for maybe 20 to 30 years, and their mortality is the given. And after the individual, the institution usually crumbles. And we've seen this happen time and time again. There are very few credible institutions which exist in the country which stay beyond the lives of the founders. So what the founders do and where they came from and what they're trying to do is not as relevant as what the institution is trying to do and what a firm basis it's created for itself. So pardon me for not sharing a lot of life stories. But to run this marathon, we need three kinds of things. We need good people, we need good money, and we need good knowledge. So the good thing was, in the last 4 years since we started, the good people and good money started entering into the system. Right from about 2011, a lot of people broke that old mold of not voting, of not standing for election, of not giving money to political parties. That changed, and that made our life a lot easier. But the third point of the good knowledge is still a big lacuna in our system. What do we mean by the good knowledge? What do we mean by the right knowledge? We need policies based on sound economic reasoning. Mere good intentions are not good enough. Mere good morality is not good enough. Sanctimonious is not good enough. We need good ideas. And good ideas in the public space have basis. It's just like management. You know, you can run a business without going to IIM. But after going to IIM, I think you run your businesses a lot better. There is something which you learn in IIM. There's something which you learn in management school which helps businesses run better. Just in the same way, you have knowledge which helps us to run the country better. And strangely, very few people in India seem to acknowledge this or realize this. It's just that, you know, good intentions and a generalist degree is good enough for you to fix the most complicated problems in the world. It's not. So we need the good knowledge. We need to uphold economic freedom, focus on the strengths of our society, which is open and tolerant, focus on making India a power by which it can fend for itself and defend its independence and take its place in the world. And these must be applied in every level of government. These must be applied by everybody, from the citizen to the NGO to the people in government. And that's not easy. So the lack of good knowledge is the third pin which we have to pin down in order to complete the transformation which started roughly about 4 years ago. And we are trying to do that. And why is good knowledge important? It's because we are actually being held back by the governance gap. No, every country has a governance gap because the government just can't attract the best talent. The economy and the society always has better talent than the government can afford to hire. But in India's case, that gap is huge. The best people in every cohort, in every generation, don't join government. A person who comes out of IIM is more likely to join a bank than the government. There are exceptions, of course, but a large majority of your classmates are not likely to join government. And that gap is increasing. Why? Because the economy is growing at a faster rate. The society is maturing at a faster rate. But the government is still in the 19th century. So we have a 21st century economy with a 19th century government. And this is the root cause of why we have corruption, why we have conflict, why we have poverty, indignity, and most importantly, a sense of hopelessness which you see in most middle-class households or poor households. You say that, when is India ever going to reach make the kind of progress which Southeast Asia has made? It's not going to happen in my lifetime. That hopelessness is because of this governance gap, because the government has just not proven itself to be credible. So what are we going to do? What are we trying to do? We are trying to change this. We are trying to equip the right people with the right knowledge and connect them to the right opportunities. How? We've introduced a very innovative 12-week, one-semester course in public policy that all of you could take. And lots of you have taken from people from the financial world, doctors, engineers, venture capitals, and so forth, and equip them to engage with government, to engage with public affairs, to stand for elections, to work in the media, to do NGO work, such that whatever they do is far more impactful than just doing it with good intention. We do this thrice a year. It's an engine which is churning out at least 30 to 40 people every quarter. We want to expand this to a lot more. One of the good news is that we've had one person who's an MP who won an election in the recent election. We had some of our graduates working in the campaign teams of all three big parties, BJP, Congress, and the Aam Aadmi Party in the recent elections. So people have done interesting things with that knowledge. On the other side, we are also working at the city government level. How do we replace the kind of people who join the municipal government and fix our streets, which fix our street lights, which look after road safety? So that's happening in Bangalore. It's a very bold experiment where some of the richest people in the city have come together and said, we'll put our money where our mouth is, and we train people, good people, to become city councillors and hopefully change the nature of Bangalore going forward. All these are slow, hard fights. You're not going to see results tomorrow morning. You're going to see results 3 to 5 years. It's not exciting. It doesn't pull at your heartstrings, but this is the drudgery, the kind of plumbing we have to do in order to fix and transform the country. We are not alone. We've been very happy to have help from wonderful people out there. I have never found a single person saying no to me whenever I've gone out and asked for help. And this includes people who are amid you today. Right? These are some of the pictures of the kind of people we work with. Each of them I consider as a mark of future recognition. These are the people who are going to be MLAs, MPs, media owners, journalists, NGO leaders, foundation owners of the future, and we are proud to be creating them. Thank you.